Welcome to 10 Minutes Today, your favorite thrice weekly variety show, coming to you right here on Twitter. We come to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with a brand new video intended to entice some thought and bring some enjoyment into your life. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, pop, Matej. Today's topic: is terrorism a part of life in major urban centers? Now, this question, this is a surprise topic, and it comes after, of course, the deplorable terror attacks in London this past week. At the point that this is posted, it's probably been about 2 weeks, maybe even 3. I don't know when we'll post it, but Donald Trump Jr. took to Twitter to repost something from years ago where the current mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, said that he believes the threat of terror attacks are part and parcel of living in a big city. And he further followed that up by encouraging Londoners to be vigilant and combat dangers. Now, Trump Jr. tweeted this story and said, quote, "You have to be kidding me. Terror attacks are part of living in the big city, says London Mayor Sadiq Khan," end quote. And he has been put on blast by people who are saying that he has no right to get involved in this conversation. So, since the son of the president has no right, I'm going to give us the right. So, my question for you is, should someone living in, we're going to keep this to the Western world,
okay.
Is terrorism a part of our lives now? Should you always be vigilant as far as terrorism is concerned?
That's a good question. I think yes and no. So let me explain. So,
so the easy way out.
Exactly. Well, not necessarily. Terrorism, as we have alluded to in our previous discussion here, is an ideological war.
Right.
It's not something you can take guns and fight and kill because it's just going to pop up somewhere else.
Right.
I think in fighting it, we need to be vigilant, and I think that means growing tolerance and understanding as to what is going on really, without all the skewed facts and the alternative facts that the media portrays.
But Matej, I'm going to present an alternative fact.
Fantastic.
9/11 didn't happen.
Ooh.
No, fuck that, it happened. Continue.
No. This is not a conspiracy corner.
Not a conspiracy corner.
So yeah, I think we have to be vigilant in combating terrorism and the root of terrorism. So I think that going back, just briefly touching on the bill motion 103, I think has a lot to do with trying to understand and embrace Muslims that aren't radicalized, because radical Muslims are obviously going to be trying to turn not radical Muslims against the white Western people. Sure. Right? So by accepting...
That's the theory.
That's the theory. So by accepting and understanding Muslims and embracing them, we are diffusing that. If the radical Islamic people are saying these people are just going to hate you, they're just going to dispel you, they're going to stick you out and leave you to dry, and then we do that, that's feeding it, and I think that's not going to win us an ideological war. As far as staying vigilant and being worried that something's going to happen, you're going a little bit away from the question. Sure.
And I would love to talk to you about that, but
sure.
that's a different conversation. So the idea is, if you're living in a major city center, essentially, should you be surprised that this happened? Or is it the government's responsibility to ensure that it never happens?
Well, I don't think anybody can stop it from happening.
I think ultimately, as far as I'm concerned, working in the city, I commute, or I will be, so I don't live there, but I think it's one of those things that you might be one of these innocent school kids that was hit by this car running down the bridge at Westminster.
Sure.
And does that mean that you should never go to a major... I know people who still won't fly. Look, if you're afraid of flying, if you're afraid of visiting the Eiffel Tower, or I had this discussion with my parents last night because they're afraid of touring Europe. No, go to the concerts, tour Europe, do your thing. Statistically speaking, it's not going to be you.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is, we have to keep in mind that it could be you.
Sure.
And I think that's what the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan, was getting at, is that live your life the same way you did before September 11th when this came to our eyes. Because this has been happening, like, if you look up online, you can find terror attacks conducted by Islamic extremists back to the 70s in the Western world. And I'm sure there's even more from before then.
And there's terror attacks committed by all sorts of groups as well.
Well,
and
let's not
people
forget
that aren't even associated with groups. I would still call that a terror attack. A
Well,
white guy goes and shoots up a high
exactly.
school. That's a terror attack. I don't care.
Well, and beyond that, like the 90s, people were afraid of the Irish.
Oh,
right?
of course.
And this fear...
You've got mafia, you've got...
the FLQ in Canada, the attacks in Quebec, the bombings, anthrax in the 90s. This has always existed. Mobs and whatnot, but what it comes down to is we have what they're calling a new threat that I don't see this new in any way, shape, or form.
No.
There's always been these extreme
could have
points
always
of
been
view.
you. And it can be you driving a car. It could be you driving a car.
You're
getting hit
more
by a
likely to
train.
die in your car.
You know what I mean?
You're more likely to die in a car accident than a terror attack.
Yeah.
You're more likely to get hit by lightning, I think like 3 times, than be involved in a terror attack.
I don't know. It's just you need to. Sure, you can be worried about it,
But
you can be worried, but you shouldn't let it control what you're going to be doing with your
well,
life.
I
I think
actually
that's just with fear in general.
I agree with the mayor though that we have to be vigilant because, and this is where Bill M103 bothers me, is because or sorry, M103 the motion, not a bill.
I say that too.
This is I know you well yeah. So this is where it bothers me is we have to be vigilant. If we are accepting of every single person and we look at all people as the same, it's not going to work for our benefit.
Sure.
And I think we should be accepting these refugees into the country. And I'm sure that I was called some names between the last video and this one, and that's fine. You can say what you want, but I think we should be accepting all of these immigrants, but we have to be sure, or sorry, that's the wrong words. We have to be aware that we could be bringing in the wrong person.
Sure.
I don't care if 1 or 2 wrong people get in out of the 60 or 70,000 that we brought into the country.
Sure.
Give us one bad
And it's
person.
even unlikely. I was reading the amount of work that they have to go through in background checks, and it's not easy to
No,
get.
it's
People
not.
think that you're just going, come on, oh, there's a bunch of people waiting at the gate. They open the gates and say, come on in. But that's not the case. There's a long list of things that they have to do, background checks they have to pass. Whole bunch of things that are, it's very difficult to get into the country, so stop worrying about it. Like,
And-
people need to just relax.
Yeah, in Canada, there has been 1 successful Islamic terror attack.
It was at the Ottawa one.
The Ottawa attack.
And who even, like, do we even
He was
know?
fucking blown to pieces by our cops in Parliament.
But do
How
we know-
fucking awesome is that? He had like over 150 bullets like in his body and around him and whatnot.
But do we know that he was actually in his...
He was a lone wolf, but he was radicalized.
Yes? Okay, because what I was concerned of, and what I think ISL does on a regular basis, and this is just an opinion.
Actually, there was
an
a terror attack
uneducated
2 days
opinion.
before that. The 2 military officers in Quebec
right.
that were shot and killed.
Anyways, this is just an uneducated opinion because I haven't looked it up. But I would suggest that a lot of the times when things like
Actually, they
this
were hit by a
happen,
car. They weren't shot.
when things like this happen, does ISL or ISIS, whatever you want to call them, do they just take
ISIL.
Do they just take
Islamic
blame?
State of Iraq and Libya, because they're not technically Syria, but whatever.
Do they just claim responsibility for these to make it seem like they have a wider reach than they do? Or
okay, I see.
like,
what you're
does it?
saying.
Oh, do they? Is it always them, or are they just claiming it every time so it seems like they have more of a grip than they do? I don't think they have as big of a grip as people think they do.
I don't. Oh, I totally agree. And they, of course, they want their numbers to appear higher
Of
than
course
they are.
they do.
But the thing is, in my opinion, it doesn't matter if it's ISIL, ISIS, if it's Boko Haram, if it's the Taliban, who are now part of ISIL and then ISIS. But if someone is radicalized by the religion, and we know that by their view search, like their history on their computers and who they've been contacting, I think that's got to be taken in the same vein.
That always scares me.
You can see the time now.
I'm not looking.
So we are out of time for today. Don't forget, once again, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, and don't forget to come back every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Have yourselves a good day.
And like us on Facebook.
Oh yeah, like us on Facebook. I
and we're trying to go up soon.